Alrighty then, there we go. Forge gang, I am still a hard man. Alright, so I want to talk about cultural stereotypes, regional stereotypes, ethnic stereotypes, and just mixed and consorted stereotyping and brazen colonization or attempts of trying to impose a sort of colonialization or semi-colonialization upon neurodivergent people, or neurodivergent and or autistic people, or people who basically don't think or who just simply are not what could be considered to be neurotypical, or just anything that is just that would be considered to be blue-pilled and normie. If you're not outright blue-pilled and normie, then you're probably just a neurodivergent. You don't actually have to be autistic to be neurodivergent. It's just something that is. Like, you don't really want to be blue-pilled and normie if you really know what that means. But I'm not here to talk about what that definition actually is. I'm here to talk about... I am here to talk about the colonization and the kind of the passive aggression and colonizational efforts and personal impositions and imperiums by GhostofClietus Dark, Ninja, and Bubs against me. Their fake characterization attempts and stuff, and then you're going to probably ask, well, why not? What about other people? What about other people? Haven't other people done this? And the answer is yes, but they're not in Texas. They are from outside Texas. They're from outside the United States in some cases. And therefore, I can't make necessary accusations against them innately because they're not from Texas like I am, and they're not from the United States in some instances. So I can't necessarily put blame on them for that, but I can do this against Bubs, Dark Ninja, and GhostofClietus because they are from Texas, and they have tried to impose a state of colonization, a state of imperialism, and ethnic misidentification, and personal misidentification against me as a neurodivergent individual. And that's really about it. I'll start with GhostofClietus because he's done it the most. He's been the most prescient in his outright colonization against me. And so I'll start with him. GhostofClietus is a racist, a white supremacist, and he is a neo-Nazi, or he follows like an alt-right neo-Nazi position. He is kind of like the Germany to my Poland, sort of, and he has tried many times, multiple times, to try to impose a tyranny against me. A tyranny of the mind, a theocratic religious nutcase tyranny against neurodivergent people, and he has tried to ethnically misidentify me multiple times, and he has tried multiple times to try to misenumerate and push a misnumeration against me as an individual. Not just necessarily because I'm neurodivergent, but just because I'm an individual and I don't care about mass identity politics and it's irrelevant to me. But apparently because I have this common skin color that he allegedly has. I don't even know what his skin color is, but he has tried to push this ethnic misidentification against me, and I don't know his ethnic background. I don't know anything about GhostofClietus's ethnicity and his regional identity or regional backgrounds and all of this stuff, but he is trying to push imperialism and colonization against neurodivergent people, and I am coming out and speaking out against it. Like, he's definitely pushing a authoritarian, conservative, right-wing Christian position, paternalistic Confederate right-wing Nazi position, which is just outright racist. It is autismophobic, and it is definitely racist and autismophobic, and it is an ethnic misidentification, and it's just basically a form of colonization. It is a form of him pushing this British American colonial identity against me as a neurodivergent individual, and at the same time spewing hatred about Germans and autistic people and Italians, because Ghost of Cleetus hates Italians, he hates Southern Europeans. I don't know if he hates Slavs or not, but he probably does. And he hates Germans. He doesn't think that Germans or Slavs or Mediterraneans should be American. He thinks that only Northwestern European Protestants who are fascist or Nazis can be Texans or Southerners. And he basically, he wants to perform like a kind of ethnic genocide. He's pushing an ethnic genocide against innocent people. And I find that to be absolutely toxic. And I've come out multiple times, explaining that. And he's gone around Discord. Ghost of Cleetus has been going around Discord. And maybe he isn't the one responsible for instigating it. I don't think he necessarily instigates it, but he's telling somebody. Somebody is talking to him. I don't know if it's King of Pole, Soberman, Swede, Weezus, Motorboat, or King of Pole, Drunken Surfer, who else? Bubs, or several other people who I can't think of. But he's been telling them false lies about me. He's been telling them that I'm basically only of, Northwestern European or British descent, which is not the case of all. I've already shown my ethnic heritage many times. I'm not going to get into all of that, but it's not those things that he claims that it is. And it's obviously being done with an agenda, with a clear agenda on Ghost of Cleetus's mind, which is basically a form of ethnic and cultural genocide against neurodivergent individuals. And, I'm not going to cancel him. I don't care. I don't care what Ghost of Cleetus or Ghost of Nicolo does. I'm not interested and I don't care. But here I am having to do this, having to come out and explain and clean up the mess that he started, the lies that he has spewed and the lies and the bullshit that he has said, and the misfacts, the mistakes or the missteps that he has taken. And he is definitely the most, he's made the most absurd claims out of all these people. But specifically, my great-grandmother, and she's been dead forever, but my great-grandmother, her grandparents were from another region of the United States. I'm not going to dox where they were from, but it wasn't exactly what Ghost of Cleetus would consider to be Texian or Southerner. And he does these strange things. He talks to women on Discord, and I've even heard rumors, I don't know if they're true or not, about him talking to trannies for feet pics and stuff, and that's just really weird. I find that really bizarre that this extreme right-wing individual, not even a center-right civic nationalist, but a racial ethno-nationalist of the far right, I guess, asking trannies for feet pics and women for feet pics and strange stuff like this. I don't know about the tranny stuff, but I've heard of it. It's weird, and I will tell you this. I wouldn't be talking about this right now if he hadn't have gone around and tried to mix my name up with that stupid shit. Because now I got my name mixed up into that crap, and then I have to come and I have to fucking clean the mess up. And so obviously, I don't do shit like that, okay? And that's it. I'm not gonna say it again. I don't do that fucking shit. If he does, that's his fault. That's his problems. That's his deal, okay? Go to him and argue with him about it, and don't come to me, okay? It's not my fault that the Ghost of Cleetus is looking for women and tranny feet pics or nude pics or whatever he does. If he does, that's not my problem, okay? If he does it, okay, that's fine. I don't do that. I don't do that stuff. I don't ask women and trannies for feet pics. I don't do that shit, okay? So don't come to me and talk to me about it. Go talk to him, okay? Go talk to him about it, and he'll explain what he does with his stuff, okay? Don't add my name into that shit, okay? I want to make that clear. Don't add my fucking name into that, okay? That is something that I definitely have nothing to do with, and I would really appreciate to not have my name mixed up into that stuff, you know? And Ghost of Cleetus, you know, he's warming up to me, and he's like, oh, you're a fellow Texan, you're a fellow American, you're a fellow Southerner, you're a fellow white man or whatever. And then he's talking to King of Pole. He's talking to King of Pole about, oh, well, I told Warhammer not to talk about that. Or he's telling King of Pole, oh, well, I talked to Warhammer, and I told him not to do this and this and that, and he doesn't do that anymore. Like, talking about pedophilia stuff. And this is a person that has been asking trannies for feet pics, to give him feet pics, and probably more than just that. And this is King of Pole. This is the same King of Pole who back in the day tried to get outlines of men's other junk. I'm not going to say any more about that, but you know what I mean. If you've been through the sector, you've watched Medicare for more than 5 years, you'll know about this. Okay? And I personally don't care, and I wouldn't be talking about it if only my name had not been brought in. If my name had not been brought in, I wouldn't be streaming right now and talking about this stuff. But lo and behold, here I am, and I gotta address it. I have to address it. And it's very obvious, and I have to explain, that there is indeed a point of deterrence, a point in which he does not like or think highly of neurodivergent people, and is therefore outright discriminating against them, even if maybe he is doing so unknowingly. Ghost of Cleetus is discriminating against autistic people. Okay, I've seen it more than once. Okay, I've watched his streams, and I've seen enough of it to know that he is indeed discriminating against neurodivergent and autistic people. I've seen him do it numerous times to sober men. I don't like sober men. I don't care about him, but I've seen, okay, I have eyes and I have ears. And I've seen him do it. I've seen what he said, calling sober men a spad and whatever the fuck else, and all this other crap. And I don't like sober men. I want nothing to do with him, but this doesn't mean that Ghost of Cleetus gets off with that shit. So, hey, if you don't like neurodivergent people, Ghost of Cleetus, then maybe you don't want to be associating with them. Maybe just cut them off, cut it loose, and don't associate. Don't interact with neurodivergent people then. You know, and more importantly, don't mix me up into your problems. Don't drag my name and the Forge into your problems and issues, sir. You don't have to do that. Nobody asked you to do that. You can not do that. So yes, there is indeed an ethnic and a cultural genocidal aspect to Ghost of Cleetus, and what he is trying to do with how he has tried to presume and has tried to discriminate against neurodivergent Texians, neurodivergent Americans, and neurodivergent Southerners, etc. And definitely he is, without a doubt, the most guilty of the party in this regard. So definitely have to shout that out first. Now, with him and his Scotch-Irish wannabe crap. I don't know if he's Scotch-Irish or whatever, but I've told Ghost of Cleetus numerous times. I've explained numerous times, I agree, that British Americans are Southerners. Okay? And that Germans, Italians, Portuguese, Spaniards, and Eastern Europeans, and Central Europeans, and pretty much non-British, non-Celtic, non-Northwestern Europeans are not Southerners, regardless of how long they have lived in the South or whatever. Okay? I agree with that, and that's where I draw my line. That's where I put my line in the sand, and I say I am not going to go any further in that direction, Ghost of Cleetus, or whoever else that has your point of view, Ghost of Cleetus. Okay? If you want to have some kind of fucking weird-ass Scotch-Irish, British-American, English-American, Confederate, whatever the fuck that you want to do, fine, you're free to do that. You're American, you have that constitutional freedom. Go and do it. Don't put my name into it, okay? I've seen more than plenty of times of how you have tried to out neurodivergent people, and so just don't put my name out there anymore. All right, Dark Ninja. Dark Ninja has also kind of, for different reasons, he is like the Russia. He is like the Bolshevik communist Russia to my Poland. And in many ways, he has done very similar things with cultural and ethnic genocide against neurodivergent people, like Ghost of Cleetus, but for very different reasons. For him, it is more of, let's make Texas Mexican again. Let's make a Texian a Latino again, or make it as Latino as possible. And so obviously, I'm not Latino. Sorry, sir, I am not a Latino. I don't hate Latinos, and I have no problem with Latinos, but not all Texans are Latinos, and not everybody who lives in the American Southwest or in like areas of the United States that at one point were part of Mexico are going to be of Mexican descent. Dark Ninja. You weirdo. You're probably even more creepier than Ghost of Cleetus. Oh yeah, you also ask women for feet pics too. And trannies as well. Like, it's weird. Ghost of Cleetus is like super freaking fashy right-wing and super fashy. And Dark Ninja's kind of like this Civ Nat Center right-wing person or whatever. Although I've seen him also seem to have progressive viewpoints and stuff, but that's probably just a reaction to what the neo-Nazis say to him, maybe, or what he perceives as the racists are saying to him, perhaps. But I've seen this guy be misogynist against women, and the things that he's done with kids, he's in no position to call people racist. He's just as bad as Ghost of Cleetus. Like, he wants to ethnically remove and culturally genocide neurodivergent people out of Texas and the South, too. Or in his case, the American Southwest. So, actually, no. Texas and the American Southwest. I take that back. So, Dark Ninja does much of the same thing that Ghost of Cleetus does, but if Ghost of Cleetus was sort of the Nazi in this, Dark Ninja would be more the Bolshevik in the sense that he does not want there to be any ethnic identity, any kind of identitarianism or whatever, except for just this kind of Bolshevik thing, Bolshevik thing or globalist thing that he wants to attain, internationalist Bolshevik or whatever that he wants to push. So that's Dark Ninja. But still, even though his persuasion his cause and his drive is very different from Ghost of Cleetus, it is still very much the same. It is all the same in that both Dark Ninja and Ghost of Cleetus do not like neurodivergent people. They don't want neurodivergent people to live in Texas, and they don't want neurodivergent people in the United States. Preferably, they probably would just like to basically ethnically cleanse neurodivergent people off the entire planet, if they could do so, if they had that ability to do so. And that's clearly what they want to do. So, Dark Ninja, not as bad as Ghost of Cleetus. Not as bad as Ghost of Cleetus in that regard, but still very much for the same reasons. Now, with Bubs, I have to bring her up because she's done the same thing. She is a troll. I don't even know if it's a woman, okay? It could be a guy. It could be a man. I have no idea. Bubs probably might not even be from Texas. They, him, her said that they were. I have no idea. And they follow Kitty Styles. They're really close to Kitty Styles, and they seem to really like Kitty Styles and what he does, and so that should kind of tell you what they're all about. But being if Bubs is indeed from Texas, I have to bring their name up because they also have tried to ethnically and culturally genocide neurodivergent people with misnomers and with misplaced rhetoric, misplaced terminologies, and just all of this bungled up nonsense that they have been trying to spew for many, many years. Now, Bubs is not like Ghost of Cleetus and Dark Ninja in that while Ghost of Cleetus and Dark Ninja are upfront and very plain-spoken about what they say, Bubs is more reserved, and they resort to using other people, gassing other people up to come at me and others with this cultural genocide that they are trying to push, cultural misrepresentation, cultural misnomering, and cultural misrepresentation, and sort of this determination to erase neurodivergent people and anything to do with neurodivergent people out of the South, out of the southern United States, certainly out of the South and Texas as well, very formally. But all three of these people have their own persuasions and their different reasons. They definitely are not coming at me with the same goalpost or the same ball, but they are nonetheless coming at me for much of the same reasons and much of the same things, namely that they do not want to have neurodivergent people in Texas. They do not want neurodivergent people to even exist anywhere on the earth. They want to genocide and erase all of that. And I have to come out and I have to talk about it, and so that's what I've done. All right, if there's any questions, I'm finished. I hate that I had to do this. I can't really say that I'm pleased necessarily with having to do this, but it was an obligation. I had to come out and I had to finally talk about this, and I had to kind of iron out the rags on this. The rags were wrinkled up, and I had to come and I had to press them out. And I just had to kind of set at least my side correct. Okay, so you've heard my side now. That's my side. I've made my case. I've told you my side. I've made my case, and so that's it. I've made my peace.